Hello, my beautiful friends and fellow space blobs. Oh, let's just take a deep breath. That was such a powerful eclipse season. I have to admit, I was having this combination of both feeling a lot of new visions coming to life and feeling very creatively alive and energized, while at the same time feeling some heavier, deeper emotions and also feeling really tired. It was a very interesting combo for me this eclipse season. Super, super powerful, really beautiful. And that's why I am excited to be sitting here today because we are going to talk about the Taurus new moon, which really helps us close out eclipse season, process, come back into kind of like a whole sense of self again with those new visions, with that new information, with that new energy. So this is a really, really great moon to check in with ourselves, get regrounded, but also get connected to our inner dreamer and our inner visionary and have those two, our physical body, how we're feeling here being in the world, and our inner visionary come together and have a conversation. I will be doing an activation that focuses really specifically on that conversation and how to have it over on my Patreon. If you're looking for a way to sit through and maybe get yourself into a really calm, safe space so that you can access some of that inner vision, I would love to see you there. And we're also starting Weaves, Webs, and Wending over there, which is a series all about creativity and opening ourselves and helping ourselves get to the far shore and dream time where we can create some really beautiful things. It's a really wonderful series that I hope will help many of us modulate into some open-hearted creativity. So I'd love to see you over there. But let's get into the details of this beautiful Taurus new moon. So this new moon will be closing out Taurus season, eclipse season, and Mercury will have just stationed direct a handful of days before. So it's closing out a lot of these very introspective and powerful. This whole Taurus season has been really powerful and very, I think, enlightening for a lot of us and how we want to live this life and what we want that to feel like and what is feeling really, really good and true to us. This new moon is also ushering in a new cycle with Jupiter in Taurus because Jupiter will have just moved into Taurus a couple of days before this new moon. So it's also ushering in a completely new creative cycle. And as we know, new moons are this beautiful place of planting new seeds, kind of envisioning what is next. So it's a really sweet spot in the fabric of the year, and I think a really wonderful way to close out Taurus season and to honor our bodies, our visions, our souls, and they're coming together at the end of a very powerful Taurus season. So just taking that moment, we don't have to make it super complicated. This new moon is also doing some really interesting conversing with watery energy. During this time. So there are two main sextiles that are going to be playing a role in the conversation symbolically. One is Mars, is at 29 degrees of Cancer, so it will be sextiling that new moon beautifully. And the other is Neptune, that will be sextiling this new moon at 27 degrees of Pisces. Beautiful, dreamy energy. And of course, then Mars and Neptune are having this beautiful trine. So it's this really flowing energy. When we're working with sextiles, we're working with creative flowing energy that wants to work together, that wants to see things flowing and moving. And especially when we're working with water, water finds the shortest path through to where it wants to go. So there's a real clarity and honesty with this energy, actually. I think especially Mars in Cancer here, sextiling this new moon. For me, Mars in Cancer has been one of the most important transits. Every time it comes through, I'm always so grateful for it because for me, this is a really deeply honest transit. Mars in Cancer is about what actually feels good. Not what we tell everybody feels good, not what our persona or who we think we need to be feels good, but what we actually feel is good at a soul level. What actually makes us feel at home, what makes us feel alive and well and whole. This is a transit that really asks us about that. So when it's meeting here with this new moon in Taurus, there's a real moment here of understanding what motivates us from a soul level. Not from a mechanized level, not from a production level, even with our creativity, not just from what we're trying to produce or amass or make, but also what truly brings us to life. There's just this beautiful moment of asking that question. On the other side, we have this Neptune in Pisces sextile with the new moon. And this is a really wonderful check-in as well. The question that comes up here with this new moon is, what dreams do we say we're not allowed to have? What dreams do we just stop ourselves from even conversing with? Because either we've decided that we have to live a certain path, or we've decided that it would just be too much, or we've decided that we just aren't allowed to do it for whatever reason. This is a really wonderful conversation to check in with what tension is going on there. And this brings me to a really interesting part of the conversation here when it comes to this really beautiful coming together new moon, where we're checking in with all the parts of ourselves and understanding our visionary selves and our physical selves, and how we've changed and how we are envisioning in very different ways. There's this conversation going on between Pluto newly in Aquarius and Jupiter newly in Taurus. They are squaring in these fixed signs right as this new moon is happening. And I think this is really interesting. People kind of get stressed about squares, that it's going to be unbearable tension. But for me, these are always the places where we are longing for a crack to form so that we can let the light in, for something to open, something to shift, something to modulate so that we can see ahead. And for me, this square and this little moment of introduction into a new energetic cycle here with that square is all about acknowledging that it is scary to admit what we are dreaming of sometimes, that it means leaving often behind the familiar, what we know already works, leaving behind what our bodies and maybe our inner judges or worriers consider safe or concrete. It requires, maybe challenging some of the scripts we've been given by our family or our cultures, or what we've been trained to fear our entire lives. It means leaving behind, a version of ourselves. And honest dreaming requires a kind of deep courage, I think, and a deep tenderness with ourselves as well. It's not just about forcing ourselves to dream really scary dreams and then make a whole bunch of phone calls the next day. I think honest dreaming also requires enough softness and openness to do it slowly and gently so that it can evolve into something new. But there is this sense in the air here that on the one hand, this is about integrating all of the wisdom we have just had through this very potent Taurus season, but it's also about being really honest and tender with ourselves about the fact that we have changed, and it's time to open some new chapters and maybe do some new things that are a little bit scary and a little bit unfamiliar. So that is going to be an element of this new moon as well. But once again, we're working with Taurus energy, fixed earth energy, creative energy that isn't about the strain and the pushing and the tension. It is about the softness. It's about how we create from a place of feeling deep safety, deep abundance. And that really goes to themes that we work with when we work with earth signs. When you think about a tree or a plant and the millions of seeds it may produce, the abundance that comes out of things like that, all those ideas, all those little buds and energetic ticks that we have in our lives, those little moments where we open up to something, those are part of that. And just connecting with that feeling, that all those little impulses and ideas and feelings, those are all part of this overflowing of possibility. And I think rather than getting tense about this new moon and being like, okay, it's going to be about honest dreaming and being bold enough to vision, it's about getting relaxed enough to know that you already have these visions inside of you. You don't really have to work hard to be with them. So in so many ways, it's a really simple moon. I've just sat here talking about all these different sextiles and conversations and where it's sitting in the course of the year, but essentially it's just coming home to ourselves and really paying attention to what is there already. Okay, let's see what cards want to come out in our conversation today. King of Swords. There's that honesty that I was talking about. There's this really beautiful clarity to this new moon. And I think it is because it is closing out an eclipse season and Mercury retrograde. And it's coming to the conclusion of some really big cycles and the opening to some new ones. And what I love about King of Swords is this there's just this sense of integrity with that energy where it's simple, it's clear. It doesn't need to be wishy-washy or, oh, I don't know, maybe. It's just very direct, very honest, and it can feel like that window opening in a stuffy room where just you get that fresh, cool breeze and the cobwebs are swept away and there's this beautiful, dignified knowing. And that's really the energy of the King of Swords. There's a decisive knowing. And I think that that is an energy that we will be feeling here as we kind of cross through this threshold from Taurus season, heading straight toward Gemini season very, very soon after this new moon. There is this sense of clarity and the ability to express and the ability to move in ways that feel really natural. Ace of Pentacles. I love it. And there's that new Jupiter and Taurus transit that we will be working with for the next year. It is so creative. It is such a creative transit. It's so playful. It really is going to favor those of us who love the arts and beauty, which we love that. Humans and our spirits are made to love those things. So it's really, I think, in conversation with our souls on so many levels. Two more cards wanted to come out, and they're very interesting. We have the Magician and Five of Wands. Classics. So you can see here, we'll get to the Five of Wands in a second, because I think it's really interesting that it tagged along on this journey, because you look at these first three. These are all very clear communicators, very forward focused, very much about moving into new territory, opening new doors, embodying new energetic frequencies even, might I say, and starting new practices and beginning new creative journeys. There's just a clarity here. I think a lot of us, you could tell me what these cards mean for you when you see them here, if you feel like it. But then we have this Five of Wands, and I think this is really interesting. I love a good five. Five in tarot is this place of tension. And this is important to acknowledge, I think, because I've mentioned this a couple of times now in this chat about this being a moon that's very important for us to feel safe. If we want to contact our inner visionary, which here is really embodied in the Magician, we have to feel safe. The parts of us that are embattled, that are scared of change, that are scared that we are being irresponsible or immature or not thoughtful enough, that we are throwing away everything because we're dreaming of something unfamiliar, we have to take care of this part of ourselves. So this is a reminder that there may be parts of yourself that feel a bit of tension around letting yourself relax and dream a little bit. And it's important we just give this part of ourselves a big hug and a deep breath. And we can also listen to these things a little bit and just see what they're trying to say, see what the fears are there, see what the worries are there, see what the struggle is there. And I think in many ways, this new moon may be very helpful in figuring out what that is and how that's feeling and why we may be feeling tension around letting ourselves dream or shift, and getting a lot of clarity on that. Because once again, the first three cards we have here are all about clarity, all about that sense of being whole in ourselves right in this moment, and that carrying us forward into really clear, wonderful, beautiful things. So I'm really curious to see how you all are feeling as you move through this beautiful new moon. I know I am already sitting here a week ahead of time, a little over a week ahead of time before this new moon happens as I sit here chatting with you, and I'm feeling this magnetic pull to this new moon. I think it will feel so restorative after a very, very potent eclipse season that I think was both energizing and exhausting. And so this is a really restorative place. So just take care of yourselves, keep it simple, check in with yourselves, ground if you can, journal and play if you can, however that feels good for you. Really, that's all you need to do. You don't have to make this an overly intellectual exercise. I think your intuition will show you everything you need to know, just FYI. And like I mentioned, if you want to go through the visualization with me to kind of have a conversation between body and inner dreamer and just foster that a little bit, I'd love to see you over on Patreon. For those of you who are already there, I will see you there. And you can find me on Instagram. I am trying to post more. I feel like it's going to turn into a dog Instagram because I just take pictures of my dog all day. But anyway, I will see you there. You can find me. I will leave all my info below so you know where to find me. I hope you have a beautiful new moon in Taurus. I will see you again very soon as we head into Gemini season, and I'm so excited about those conversations ahead. Talk to you so soon, my beautiful friends.